If you didn't think we had big heads now, this
Whoa.
confirms everything.
Everybody here tonight is in for a treat. We've got some natural entertainers, and we have a few guys obviously who know some baseball as well. We have Major League Baseball analyst Harold Reynolds and entertainer Joe Piscopo.
Huey was projected last, 10th place, and when we asked Huey head coach Walter McCarty about that prediction, he just kind of laughed it off. He wants those final scores and results to speak for themselves.
I play golf professionally as a living. It's just what I do. It's not who I am.
Yeah, 23 with a full-time job, just like a lot of girls out of college. You know?
Sports director JoJo Gentry is here with what she's learned about the suspension. JoJo.
Walter McCarty's suspension comes after Wednesday's road loss at Drake. The Aces lost 78-66. After the game, he made some comments that were critical of the referees in Des Moines.
Bernie, a former teammate of yours with the New York Yankees, he called you a mentor earlier tonight. So how would you describe the relationship between the two of you?
The top two teams in this sectional are Memorial and Gibson Southern, both of which have been at the top of the polls this year.
Nick, my friend, this game was absolutely insane. First of all, Central High School is one of the oldest high schools in the country. It was established in the 1850s, yet Central has never won a team title in any sport.
Looking at this video a little bit of you breaking the world record and beating Yulia, that's a good face right there. It was a little shocked.
Some fans are starting to come into the Ford Center. Now this is going to be not exactly an accurate picture of what's to come. I'm told more than 6,000 fans are expected to pack the Ford Center tonight, and Amanda, rightfully so. This is one of the biggest games of the season for UE. Pie in the face contest that's going to be going on here to just raise some awareness and have I can't even see! Tigers fans were not expecting to lose this one, although those same fans are probably thinking about those two-point conversions the team missed earlier in the game. I did ask head coach John Hurley about those game time decisions. This is what he had to say.
It's anything too serious, just one of those things. It's like precautionary because, he's kind of our franchise quarterback. We have to keep him healthy.
He hasn't been here in nearly 100 years. The last time they played at the right school was 1929.
Tony Delk, your former roommate of 4 years, told me that he couldn't wait to get away from you because you sang so much, and if people don't know, you also have a bit of a singing career. So what do you have to say to Tony right now? IU men's basketball is looking for a win to turn itself around. The Hoosiers have lost 2 in a row and host a hungry Nebraska team. Like IU, the Cornhuskers come in with a 12-4 record. Nebraska had it out for the Hoosiers early and often. The Huskers would lead IU by 13 midway through the first half, but Romeo Langford, who comes off his 4th Big Ten Freshman of the Week honor, draws a much-needed and one. He had 18 points, and with Juwan Morgan's 17, they combined for 35 of IU's 51 points, and that's the fewest number of points the Hoosiers have scored in 4 years. IU loses 66-51 at Assembly Hall and posts its 3rd straight loss ahead of Saturday's game at Purdue.
First time since his arrest, the Evansville Thunderbolts head coach is sharing his side of the story.
It's been about 3 weeks since Ian Moran was released from jail. Sports director JoJo Gentry joins us after speaking with the hockey team's leader earlier today. JoJo?
Ian Moran admits getting behind the wheel after drinking last month was a big mistake. Moran can't take back what he did, but he can control how he steers his future. For starters, honesty is the best policy.
I've got 4 kids at home. It was a huge mistake. Obviously, I screwed up.
These are the first words spoken during our one-on-one interview with Moran at the Ford Center, a straight shooter who isn't hiding from the truth.
I wasn't going to let it define me. I'm trying to be proactive and make sure it doesn't happen, get out and talk to people and let them know I'm not really trying to hide from it.
Moran was pulled over at 2:30 in the morning, January 19th, for speeding. He admitted to police he had been drinking and went to jail. The hardest part, telling the players who look up to him.
They knew that I made a mistake, and they supported me from the start. I had support from the organization, which was nice.
Moran was back as the head coach following a 1-week suspension, but that doesn't mean things carried on as they were. Moran had to prove his loyalty once again.
It's tough if you sugarcoat because then the players never know where you're talking or what you're talking about or where you're coming from.
When Moran was traveling the world and playing in the NHL, he appreciated being in the know. He's transferred that experience to keep trying with the Thunderbolts.
As a player, that's how I wanted to be treated, and I try to treat our guys the same exact way.
You're watching 44 Sports with JoJo Gentry.
The offseason for pro athletes can be slow, but for standouts from Evansville, past and present, it only heats up, especially when it comes to helping those they can go to bat for.
The day after the first snowfall of 2019, there's some warmth on the east side of Evansville.
Only undefeated quarterback in NFL history.
Whether it comes from a man in a bird costume or a local sports pro who's won a Super Bowl, it feels like game day at Deaconess Gateway.
Give me 5.
It's nice to help and give back to the community and like they gave to me.
Bob Greasy, an Evansville native who won the Super Bowl with the Dolphins in '72, knows making a friend like this is special in a different way.
Hopefully, whatever ails them, whatever disease they might have, it's going to be cured, and they may move on to be one of our history teachers or be one of our sports heroes in the years to come. But that's the hope, and that's why I come back and just treat these kids like one of my own.
For once, these pro athletes aren't getting all of the attention. All eyes are on kids like Frankie.
Frankie, nice to meet you. My name's Jared.
Frankie, I'm Rick Ankley. Would you like a bear also?
What's up, guys?
And when modern-day grad Jared Eichhoff isn't pitching for the Phillies, he's giving strength to those who need it most.
They're starting on the wrong foot, I guess you could say. But they're to come in here and see the smiles on their faces, and I think that's I get a lot of joy out of that, and it's something, like I said, that we really look forward to.
So that's when Build-A-Bear was born. I'm going to put it in this bag so you got it, okay? That's his birth certificate.
At times, life can feel unfair, but you don't have to understand someone else's obstacles to show love and support.
They're here for a reason and getting treatment for a reason, and they could be struggling with it mentally or whatever they're going through, right? And whatever you can do, whether it's a high five or shake their hand or you give them the signed ball to just lift them up, whether it's for a minute, an hour, a day, it means a lot.
Nice work over there.
Baseball cards in there.
And 14-year-old patient Ethan agrees.
I'll probably remember this until I die.
It's like 7-2.
Yeah, it's not even.
And this big Cardinals fan knows how to draw up some victories, even 160 miles east of Busch Stadium.
My day with Fred Bird was probably one of the best days I've ever had. I got to play air hockey with him, and I beat him because I'm just that awesome at it.
But before Ethan can take over St. Louis, he's got to throw a few more strikes.
Trying to get better and go home and spend time with my friends and bragging about this.
You're watching 44 Sports with JoJo Gentry.
A Mount Vernon Jr. is lending a hand like no other, which she already does as one of the best athletes at school. But this is different. Kenzie Paul reminds us what many view as a setback is actually the upper hand. Kenzie Paul is one of the best soccer players to ever come out of Mount Vernon. After all, she's just the third player in the last 10 years to score more than 30 goals in a season for the Wildcats.
It's like an escape. I love playing. I've always played, and it's so much fun.
She's played since she was 4, but there's something about her game that stands out.
I was born without the bottom part of my left arm. I had a prosthetic when I was in preschool, but it got in my way and I didn't really like it. So I'm thinking about making me one eventually.
With all hands on deck, she already has one hand made, but it's not for herself. This is Kenzie's first of hopefully many more 3D hands in the making at Mount Vernon High School.
So it's for a person with a wrist, but probably not a hand. And so they would stick their wrist into this piece right in here. And so whenever they flex their wrist, the fingers contract, and so they're able to pick things up.
Kenzie's inspiration to help others all started with her connection to the Lucky Finn Project, which is a support network for people with limb differences. Now, there's one sentence on this organization's website that she clearly lives by. It's extremely important to show our children how capable and wonderfully made they are.
This school year, I decided that I really wanted to make a difference in the world. We discovered this company, which is called Enable. And so they developed all these blueprints for 3D printed hands. And so I reached out to them and I was like, hey, we have a 3D printer at school and I would love to help you guys out.
Hoping to study business in college, Kenzie has a big need to fill over a big territory. The nearest eNABLE chapter is hundreds of miles away, which she hopes to change and kickstart a chapter right here in the tri-state.
I've got one military veteran who I'm currently helping out right now with a hand, and we've got a couple kids that we're going to try to reach out to and see if they'd like a hand.
A helping hand that would score bigger than any goal ever made.
If I have a chapter, then I'll be able to take clients in and measure them and develop an arm that's right for them. A lot of people aren't familiar with limb differences, and so they kind of think it's weird or out of the ordinary, and so I really want to change that and make it normalized.